it's funny because somebody literally just asked me to talk about this topic, I think today, right? Might have been yesterday, but I think it was today. And I said to them, I'll probably end up talking about this because it happens every year. So when I see, something that is on this topic, I will react to it, right? And then I immediately stumbled across this. That's how you know them phones is listening to y'all, right? So this is a flyer that is advertising a Juneteenth Jouvert celebration. Now, I might be pronouncing that wrong, so my bad if I am. But you're probably wondering what Jouvert is, okay? So let's think back to it was 2020 or 2021. I think it was 2021. Michael B. Jordan came out with a liquor that was called Jouvert. And Trinidadians were very upset with him. They were like, oh, this is disrespectful. That's a Trinidadian holiday. You overstepping your boundaries, so and so and so. And I remember I made a video about this, and I may have deleted it now because I go back, I delete my old ancient videos every so often because I don't like having 2,000 videos on my YouTube channel. I feel like that's just much too cluttered, but whatever, right? So I made a video on this topic, and I was saying because Nicki Minaj even ended up speaking out against, Michael B. Jordan on behalf of Trinidadians. And I was like, it's real funny because Nicki Minaj built an entire career off of overstepping into our culture, right? She makes Black American music, not Trinidadian music, right? And we allowed her to do that. But the minute that we attempt to do anything, partaking in any part of y'all culture, y'all immediately check that, right? And that's why Black Americans are all about that delineation now, because y'all stay on that having your cake and eating it too stuff, right? But anyway, that's why I recognize this Jouvert term. It's a Trinidadian celebration. I believe it has something to do with them revolting against Black people or something. I don't know, right? But it ain't got nothing to do with Juneteenth. That's the important part. So the flyer says from freedom to fete or fete. I don't know what that says. I had to Google what that was. Apparently that's a Caribbean word for a celebration, right? So again, we're getting back to this point. This ain't got nothing to do with Juneteenth. Juneteenth is not about the Caribbean or anything like that in any capacity, right? Now, you think that this is egregious enough. You think, right? Just the simple making Black American things about y'all and attempting to erase the actual meanings of our holidays and our history and basically just demoing your way into everything about us, right? Colonizing your way into everything about us, right? You think that was egregious enough. But y'all, let me show y'all a video of the celebration.
We go cause a riot inside the place, With the promoter, with the venue owner, with the promoter, with the venue owner, with the promoter, with the venue owner, with the promoter.
Yeah, that guy have a white baseball cap on.
Why the party done? Why the party done? Why the party done? We go turn up the place and done. We go mash up the place and turn up the place and flatten the place and done. We go mash up the place and turn up the place and wine on somebody, girl. We go mash up the place and turn up the place and flatten the place and done. We go mash up the place and turn up the place and wine on somebody, girl. Now run down so, now run down so, now come back so, now run down so. Now it's madness, I pay me money madness. I not living madness, I pay me money madness. When me and my crew touch down and we reach on the stage in town, we go cause a riot in town. All down by the stadium, woman whining down to the ground. No money tongues in bottom. Look the prime minister in town, look the president down in town. When we drink up all that we rum, we go pick up something and run. We go pick up something and run. We go pick up something and run. Now run down so, now run down so, now come back so.
Now look. I ain't no prude enough. And if I go to an event and there's some booty shaking, I ain't mad. I ain't mad at that at all. Look, if my booty moved, then I might, shake a little something myself, right? But it gets to a point. It definitely gets to a point. And that's true of most things. Most things, it's okay, cool. But it gets to a point. That was nasty. Not only was that just too much, but then also it just looked like it stank up in there. You ever see somebody shake their ass? You I bet that got a scent to it, and not a good one. Ooh, don't get me wrong. Bodies are bodies. Sometimes they gonna have a bodily scent, but that's a funk badunkadunk type of look, a type of scent. Like that. That look like it smell like I don't know who done it or why. Like, like I feel like you walk up in there. Oh, you ever walked into somewhere, the gym or a club or whatever, you just get hit with a wave of just hot funk. And you just like, like you can't even breathe. That's the type of vibe this is giving. Look, if somebody was advertising an event and this is the advertisement they posted, I'd be like, I think I'm good. Like I said, I'm not opposed to some ass shaking, but that just look nasty. Like, it's the same way, like, look, it's one thing to do, a little drugs, drink a little something, like, socially, y'all with your friends have a little turn up. It's another thing to be cracked out under a bridge. That's, that it just gets to a point where it's like, that don't look fun no more. I don't want to do that, right? That's what this is. Like, y'all went too far with that, did too much. First of all, let's not even get into the fact that this is not a Juneteenth celebration. Let's just pretend that this was just a regular, everyday event. Y'all was just like, hey, we turning up at the club on Saturday. This don't look like the type of club I want to go to. This look like y'all passing something around and not the tithing bucket, bitch. I'm talking about y'all passing something that don't nobody want to have around. That looked like a recipe for fucking disaster. It looked nasty up in that bitch. But anyway, then, let's get to also the point that, what does this have to do with Juneteenth? Like, what are we doing here? Like, huh? You know what? Let's take it a step back. We're not even finna get to Juneteenth yet. Let's take it a step back, right? It's crazy how whenever you see some funky, trifling ass shit like this, right? Caribbeans always be like, oh, that's just Caribbean culture. That's how we get down. Y'all Black Americans don't have no culture. I'm fine with that. If that is your definition of culture, I'm absolutely fine with not having no culture. But the crazy thing is, though, if you see a video of a Black American woman just shake her ass for 1 second in a club, just give it one little clap, every African and Caribbean is going to be in the comments, oh, Black American culture is so raunchy, so and so, y'all disgusting, y'all don't got no respect, yada, yada, yada. But y'all could be bending it over, busting it wide, and y'all be talking about that's your culture, and somebody's supposed to take you seriously. Like, are we for real here? Chile. The way I had to cover Lissy's eyes up for that ordeal, like, oh my goodness, I cannot. Now, anyway, okay, I'm sorry. Let's get into the Juneteenth aspect of it. Okay, I'm not going to speak on Jouvert. I don't know nothing about what Jouvert is, but I mean, I would bet, right? If I had to bet, I would bet that this is not a good depiction of it, just based off of what I remember about it from a couple years ago. I remember it was something about, oh, now we rub it in white people's faces that we can do this post-slavery, whatever, right? I don't know. This don't seem like any sort of good depiction of that. But I don't know. I'm not Caribbean. I'm not Trinidadian. I have no idea. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But what I will speak on is the fact that this is not a Juneteenth celebration. So why market it as such? Have you all ever noticed that Black Americans never do what you all do to us, right? Whenever it's like Haitian Flag Day or Jouvert or Caribbean History Month or anything, you never see Black Americans like, oh, celebrate this Haitian Flag Day and Juneteenth celebrate, whatever, mind you, I don't even know what Haitian Flag Day is, so that may not make any sense at all. But the point that I'm making is this, right? We never attempt to use you all celebrations or histories or holidays as a jump off for our own. We never attempt to make you all stuff about us. We never do that. But you all do that to us time and time and time and time again. I remember a couple years ago, right? Because there's this organization in Detroit. I forget what it's called. And even if I remembered, I wouldn't say the name of it because I'm not trying to get y'all no shine for this reason exactly, right? But they're for, African and Caribbean immigrants. They help them get their citizenship, stuff like that, right? And I remember one year, this had to be back in like 2021 as well, because this was early in my YouTube career, right? This organization posted on Juneteenth, like, yeah, it's Juneteenth. We're gonna raise money for our immigrant bail fund. Like if an immigrant is in jail or something, they can't afford to get a lawyer, we're gonna raise money for that. And I was just like, what does that have to do with Juneteenth? Like, why couldn't you just, Keep those two things separate. Why couldn't you say, oh, we're doing this thing and this has nothing to do with Juneteenth? It may happen to fall on June 19th, but this is not a Juneteenth thing, clearly, right? That has nothing to do with Juneteenth, right? No, they had to pretend that they immigrant bail fundraiser was a Juneteenth thing. It's like that has nothing to do with Juneteenth. What are we talking about here, right? And I remember at the time it was frustrating to me because I was a Pan-Africanist. That's why I followed this page and I used to donate to them and stuff, right? Because, in my mind, black is black, right? But when I saw that, it kind of offended me because it's like, why not just have an actual Juneteenth celebration if you're going to market it as such? Why not highlight the Black Americans? Whatever, you could say, hey, if it wasn't for Black Americans in the Civil Rights Act, we wouldn't be able to be immigrants in this country, right? You could actually highlight Juneteenth instead of trying to commandeer it and make it about you, right? But that's the thing. This respect is one-sided. Another example, I remember a couple years ago, I Am Eloho made a video on here talking about African Takeover Day at it was I think it was an HBCU, I forget where, right? But basically at the end of Black History Month, the African students at some HBCU, it might have been Howard, right? They had an African Takeover Day. And I felt that was very disrespectful because, again, let's put it into, opposite but equivalent terms, right? Imagine if it was, for example, I don't know if there is an African History Month in the United States, but I know there's a Caribbean History Month, so I'm going to just use them as an example, because both parties be guilty of this, right? Before y'all be like, what, it wasn't us who did it. Y'all do the same thing all the time, right? Imagine if it was Caribbean History Month, and at the end of Caribbean History Month, we did a Black American Takeover Day. Y'all would be like, this is not your month, this is not your time, it's not about y'all, right? But y'all do the opposite to us all of the time. So she made this whole video, and I watched the whole thing because somebody had asked me to respond to it, and I did. I'll put the link to the video I made in response up here, right? And it was just so ignorant. First of all, she, played it down. Oh, what's wrong with African Takeover Day? We all black, right? So I explained Black History Month is about Black Americans because when Black History Month was created, right, it wasn't no Africans and Caribbeans up in here. It was just Black Americans, right? So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is you all didn't even identify as black until relatively recently. Like, pull up the receipts. We can all see y'all talk about, I know black, I African, I know black, I Igbo. No such thing as black. You have no country, you have no background. Where are you from in Africa, right? Y'all didn't even identify as black until very recently when it came time for y'all to start hijacking stuff, right? And that same thing goes for HBCUs. HBCUs are for Black Americans, right? Now, this is the thing. Nobody said that y'all can't go to HBCUs or nothing, right? But what we said is it's not actually y'all stuff. It's our stuff and it needs to be respected as such. You're an invited guest. Remember that, right? That's the whole thing, right? So, I replied to that. And then also, she compared Black Americans saying, oh, there shouldn't be an African Takeover Day at the end of Black History Month. She compared that to the treatment that white people gave Black Americans during Jim Crow. She was really like, yeah, y'all are treating us like so and so and so. And I was like, bitch, what? Like, how ignorant are you? And the crazy thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Eloho was born and raised in America. So you grew up in America and you are still this ignorant to what Black Americans went through here? Like, are you serious? You think that somebody saying, oh, there shouldn't be an African Takeover Day is comparable to what Black Americans went through at the hands of white people here? Are you really that fucking stupid? And it is crazy because in this video, she was like, oh, y'all don't understand because y'all didn't go to college. Well, bitch, you did. And what did that do for you? Because you still dumb as a pile of fucking bricks if that is the conclusion that you came to. Like, what? It was honestly very fucking offensive. But the point I'm making is, again, you all take everything Black American and make it about yourselves every single time. Y'all got African Takeover Days during Black History Month. Y'all got Jouvert celebrations on Juneteenth. Everything Black American has to be taken and made about you. But Black Americans never do that to you all. We don't try to hijack everything you have and make it about us. We don't do that to you all. And this is why this whole delineation thing is becoming so popular, because honestly, it's tiresome dealing with y'all. It is. It really is. It's frustrating. It really is. It's offensive enough when you are trying to rebrand something Black American into something African or Caribbean, and you at least have something sensible planned, right? But You telling me, let's get back to the beginning of this video. You telling me you tried to rebrand Juneteenth into a Jouvert celebration, and y'all was like, yeah, let's find the stankiest ass and dick we can find. The ugliest motherfucker that look like they got everything under the sun. They got the clap, they got AIDS, they got everything, right? And have him shaking ass and dick, and this is what we're branding the Juneteenth celebration as. Like, that's just such an added layer of disrespect. Like, are we fucking serious here?